received my sight, and now I am happy all the day. Was it for crimes that I had done, he groaned up on the tree. Amazing pity, grace unknown, and love beyond degree. At the cross where I first saw the light, and the burden of my heart rolled away. It was there by faith I received my sight, and now I am happy all the day. Well might the sun in darkness hide and shut his glories in, when Christ the mighty Maker died for man, the creature's sin. At the cross where I first saw the light, and the burden of my heart rolled away. It was there by faith I received my sight, and now I am happy all the day. On the last. Drops of grief can ne'er repay the debt of love I owe. Here, Lord, I give myself away, 'tis all that I can do. At the cross where I first saw the light, when the burden of my heart rolled away. It was there by faith I received my sight, and now I am happy all the day. Thank you. You may be seated.
Well, good morning, everybody. Let's all turn our Bibles this morning to Exodus chapter 16. Exodus chapter 16, I'm trying to be a good Christian, start off at the beginning of the Bible at the beginning of the year. We'll see if we end at Revelation this year or not. But I saw this funny picture my brother-in-law sent the family this week, and it was two knights fighting each other, you know, like medieval knights, and one had a chair, and he was about to smack the other one. And it said when you're trying to read through the Bible in the year, and then they bring in Leviticus. And then I said, to make sure you're knocked out, then they bring in the minor prophets after that, you know. So we'll see how this year goes with your daily Bible reading. But let's go to verse number 14 here. And it says, And when the dew that lay was gone up, behold, upon the face of the wilderness there lay a small round thing, as small as the hoar frost on the ground. And when the children of Israel saw it, they said one to another, It is manna, for they wist not what it was. And Moses said unto them, This is the bread which the Lord hath given you to eat. This is the thing which the Lord hath commanded. Gather it every man according to his eating, an omer for every man, according to the number of your persons. Take ye every man for them which are in his tents. And the children of Israel did so, and gathered, some more, some less. And when they did meet it with an omer, he that gathered it much had nothing over, and he that gathered little had no lack. They gathered every man according to his eating. And Moses said, Let no man leave of it till the morning. Notwithstanding, they hearkened not unto Moses, but some of them left it until the morning, and it bred worms and stank. And Moses was wroth with them. That's how you know they were southern. They said stank. And they gathered it every morning, every man according to his eating. And when the sun waxed hot, it melted. And it came to pass that on the 6th day they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omers for one man, and all the rulers for the congregation came and told Moses. There's a couple interesting things. While I was reading this, well, in the mornings when I go to work, I have my, I don't know if it's cheating, but I have my Bible play for me in the mornings when I go to work, you know. And because I got 30 minutes from here to the office, so I might as well get something out of it, you know. And so, you know, while I was reading it, I thought it was interesting, you know, because in in Sunday school, when they hold up the pictures or they had the flannel graph that they would put the stuff on, manna always appeared in a loaf. Manna was always this golden thing, and it was right there. And it was like, yeah, this is how God supplied for the Israelites, And in my mind, not that there's anything, they didn't try to teach me false doctrine, but they did because I thought manna was cooked, But when you look at this right here, what it reveals is that the Lord supplied their daily bread as he promised to do for us. But with this daily bread, there was so much more than just going outside your front door and picking it up and eating it. No, this bread had to be first gathered. And then they had to go and they had to grind it. And not only that, they had to get up early to do this. And then if they got too much, it made the whole thing rot. And if they got too little, they go hungry. And so there's so many interesting things to this because, the Lord's promised to us that he would give us daily bread. And yet we have people, me included, where at times we don't want to go get it. We act like that daily bread is just there when we open up our phone or open up the Bible. It's like, oh, there it is. Thank you, Lord. I've fed for the day. No. When this is involved, there's so much more to it because God's promised to supply us. But in order to get what God's given us, first up, it's showing that we have to be disciplined in the fact where we got to get up. What this did was it made the Israelites realize that they could not be lazy because this would affect their entire day. They could not sleep in. They could not go get it from the grocery store in case they forgot something earlier. No, they had to get up every morning before the sun rose. They had to gather it, and then they had to grind it. And if you want the Lord to feed you, it's the same thing. You can't just act like the Lord gives you what you want when you're ready for it. You have to read your Bible every morning, every night. You have to be there for what God has supplied, not for when you want it. And all these things, when I read that, it convicted me because I was like, well, God's promised it and God supplies it. Every day you could go get it. And that's the shame is that there's days I walk away and, with my Bible reading, it's like there's nothing there for me. I just read it as part of the day, say my prayer, go on. And yet, it wasn't like I'm not chewing on it afterwards, And yet God's promised to feed me. And maybe that's all I needed was a light meal. I don't know. But at the end, God has it for you. Are there any birthdays or anniversaries? So far, so good this year. Oh. Oh, man. Well, that being said, Jason, can you dismiss us to Sunday school? Heavenly Father, thank you for the day that you've given us and for the opportunity to be in your house this morning. I pray that you bless us now as we're going into the Sunday school hour. Be for the teachers as they teach, Lord. We do thank you for this daily bread that you give us. I pray that you help us to be faithful, Lord, to partake of it and be nourishment to our spiritual bodies, Lord, that we need each and every day. Bless us now as we go into this Sunday school hour in Jesus' name. Amen.
It's good to be here today. It's good to let all y'all see me. So y'all look at me and y'all can realize y'all not as bad off as y'all thought y'all were. I'd like for you to turn to 1 Samuel chapter 17. 1 Samuel chapter 17. So here's an old familiar story. We've all heard it time and time again from the time we was just little going to church. But it's David coming before Saul, going to fight Goliath. And starting in verse 34, and David said unto Saul, Thy servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock. And I went out after him, and smote him, and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard, and smote him, and slew him. In other words, he grabbed him by the hair of his chinny chin chin. But he grabbed him by his beard and smote him. Now, can you imagine just going up to a lion or a bear and grabbing him by his chin and then killing him? Yeah, and this isn't a grown man. This is a little kid. He was a teenager. David had some grit about him, and he had some faith in God too. And here David proves it in verse 36. Thy servant slew both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing he hath defied the armies of the living God. And David said, Moreover, the Lord that delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear, he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. It's important to see that David didn't take credit for himself. I ain't big, I ain't bad. He wasn't Chuck Norris. You know, he gave the credit to God where it was due. God's the one that delivered them to me. It was by him. You know, we face troubles and trials in this life. It ain't us, it's God that's going to deliver us from them. Man likes to depend on his own strength and his own will and his own grit too much. We need to give the credit where the credit's due. Give it to the Lord. No matter what we go through, he's able to deliver us. Let's see. And Saul said unto David, Go, and the Lord be with thee. Here's Saul giving him credit. The Lord be with thee. You know, the Lord would have to be with David because everybody else is hiding in the ditch, ready to turn and run. Even Saul hadn't stood up himself and gone before this Philistine. And then in verse 43, and the Philistine said unto David, Am I a dog that thou comest to me with staves? You come to me with sticks. You know, what am I? I'm nothing. You gonna come up here with a little stick? Because he had his staff in his hand. Guess Goliath hadn't seen that slingshot yet. But here you coming up to me, am I a dog? And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. Notice, too, David, he comes in the name of God. The Philistines are in the name of his gods. There's a big difference. You know, all these Egyptians and everybody else having all these different gods, and the Greeks and everybody else, and we read about their gods, and they had a God for this and a God for that. We got one God that can take care of it all. He don't need no help. But all these others, they need a God for every occasion. Then you got the Catholics to pray to this saint for this occasion and this saint for that occasion. Why not just go to the Lord and let Him handle it all? We can lay every care at His feet, and He's well able to handle it. You know, hey, I'd be in trouble if I had to remember what God I need to pray to for this and what God I need to pray to for that. Because I ain't too bright in remembering all these different gods and what they supposed to be for. That'd be just about impossible for me. But I can go to one and get an answer for everything. And that's one that cares and wants to hear. You know, what if all these other gods are busy that day and they don't want to hear? You know, He wants to hear from me. It's not a bother to Him to go before Him. It don't pester Him. He loves us and He cares for us, everything about us. Think about it. If He can take the time to count the hairs on our head, don't you think He cares about us to want to know everything? He loves us that much. You know, I love my kids, but I ain't never tried to count the hairs on their head. Wouldn't want to. I'd lose count sooner or later. Somebody asked me a question in the middle and I'd have to start all over again. But, you know, what's the old joke? Somebody's counting something and you just start naming numbers out there and get them all messed up. That'd be what happened with me if I tried to count the hairs on my head. But God knows. He knows all of them that's there, and He knows when they fall out. We just need to trust in Him. And that Philistine's cussing David by his gods. Bunch of rocks. Can't help him a bit. And the Philistine said unto David, Come to me, and I will give thy flesh unto the fowls of the air and the beasts of the field. You know, he done got up here, he done made his speech, he's threatening, he's doing what he wants. He's trying to scare David. He don't know David's history. Then David to the Philistine, Thou comest to me with a sword and with a spear and with a shield. But I come to thee in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied. Here we see David, boy, he just bold and backing up. He's like I said, he's a teenager. He's a runt. The way the Bible talks, he'd probably run of the litter of his family. But he just bows up to this over 9-foot giant and says, Hey, buddy, you got a sword, a spear, a shield. All I got is a sling. But I got the God of the armies of Israel. I ain't scared of you. Now, that took some backbone. That took some, he wasn't playing around. He had every bit of faith in God. And that's what we need. We need to have faith in the Lord. You know, the same God that brought David through this is the same God that can take care of our problems. The same God that brought Daniel out of the lion's den, He can take care of the lions in our lives too. No matter how bad or scary things get, God can take care of them. You know, David goes on in 46, This day will the Lord deliver thee into my hand, and I will smite thee and take thine head from thee. And I will give the carcass. Your carcass? No, the carcasses of the host of the Philistines. Yeah, I'm going to kill you and your army too. He's only got 5 rocks and 1 sling, but he's going to take them all on. Old David can take on a bear den with a toothpick. And he's got every bit of confidence that he's going to come out on the other side. You know, I'm going to take care of y'all. This day unto the fowls of the air and to the beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel. You know, David's telling him, I'm going to kill you and your whole army. And using his own words against him, I'm going to feed you to the fowls of the air and the beasts of the field. You know, you think you big, you think you bad. You ain't seen nothing yet. Today, you're going to die. You know, that took a lot. David had faith. No matter what happens, I'm going to win. Because there is a cause. You've been cussing my God. You know, there's a cause today. There's a world going to hell. They cuss our God. They come up with this thing and that thing trying to disprove God. There's a cause. We ought to stand up. We ought to take a stand like David did. If all the world's against us, so what? Don't matter how big they are, how bad they are. The same God that took care of the giant in David's life can take care of the giants in ours. There's a lot of very smart men that know a lot about science and everything, and will try to use it to disprove God. And they'll say, well, I'm smarter than you. I've got more education. Education don't equal intelligence. You know, don't matter how smart they are, don't matter how much studying they've done, don't matter about their satellites and their science degrees and everything else, the Bible's still true. You know, the earth ain't been here 1 billion years. No matter how much they try to prove God wrong, God's right. He made it. He ought to know. But men try to disprove God in everything. Why? Because they don't want to believe there's somebody smarter, stronger, and more capable than themselves. You know, man's got to be number one. Well, no, man ain't. There's somebody out there a whole lot smarter than us. And we need to be having faith in him. But we notice David, he got his strength, his braveness from the fact that, hey, I've defeated the lion and the bear. I can defeat this. You know, this is the start of a new year. We're only a few days into it. The same God that brought us through last year can bring us through this year. The same God of 2025 is the same God of 2026. He ain't got any older. We might get older, but he ain't going to get any older. He ain't going to get any weaker. You know, I found out the older I get, I ain't able to do the things I used to do. You know, we used to get out there and run through the woods. Get up there at Grandmama's house up there above Pumpkin Town and run through them woods and up and down them hills and crawl under the mountain laurel and everything else. I ain't able to do that no more. I might get down and get under the mountain laurel, but I don't know if I get back up too good. But, you know, our God isn't weakened. Age don't affect him. The same God that took care of David can take care of us. The same God that parted the Red Sea can take care of the problems in our life and just move them out of the way. Think about it. He moved the ocean so the Israelites could cross. I mean, walls of water on both sides. And he moved them. And he blinded Pharaoh when he done it. Because if he didn't blind Pharaoh and his army, you think I'm walking in there? No, not a chance. The Jews were scared too, but you think I'm going to follow them? Y'all go ahead. I think my horse is lame. I need to look at his hoof. Y'all go ahead without me. You know. But he blinded them, and they went in after him. And then they all drowned. And, you know, actually, I don't know if y'all know this, but it is fact. They have gone in that area, gone under the Red Sea, and have actually took pictures of the chariot wheels and axles and all still in the ocean there, underwater. They have proven that this did happen. And there's beaches on each side where the people of Israel can come out. You know, the same God that does all this stuff, the same God that flooded the whole world but brought one boat through, it's the same God that take care of us. You think about it. Noah built a boat. Noah wasn't Noah the boat builder. He was Noah that had a faith in God, that trusted in God, that believed in God. He was a man that was full of grace. And when God said, I want you to build a boat, he didn't question him. He didn't go to school to learn how to build boats. He just started building. And all these people in that day, because they had boat builders in that day, all these professional boat builders, their boats sank. Their boats were destroyed. They drowned. But this poor old country boy done built a boat, and it floated. God knows how to take care of us through anything. All we got to do is look at how he brought us through and stay strong and know that the same God that brought us through yesterday can take care of today. You know, like I say, we've had people this year that have lost loved ones. We've had people that's gone through sickness, gone through hard times. The same God that saw us through last year can take care of today. It's no problem. The same God that promises stuff yesterday can meet those promises today. He's promised he's coming back for us. I don't know when. I don't know where. It could be 5 minutes from now. It could be 100 years from now. Personally, I believe it's going to be in my lifetime. But one thing I know, he said it's going to happen. It's going to happen. All we got to do is keep looking toward him. And remember, it's not in us. It's in him. He's never let us down before. He's not going to start now. Think about it. All the promises he's made throughout history. And most of them have come true already. And the ones that haven't come true, many of them you can look at the news and see they are coming true. You can see it all lining up right with what the Bible said. We know it's not going to be long. That's why I say I believe it's going to happen in my lifetime. Think about it. One night we're going to lay down and go to sleep just like we have every night before. And we might wake up in heaven. Won't have to get up on the wrong side of the bed. Won't have to turn off the alarm clock. Just leave it there ringing. We're going to get up and go home to be with the Lord. One day we're going to be going down the road in our vehicle, headed to work, headed to the doctor, maybe to Walmart, somewhere else, and all these cars all of a sudden is going to go off the side of the road because there ain't going to be no drivers no more. Think about what kind of confusion that's going to cause. But we can trust in God no matter what we face. Hey, He's healed the sick before. He's healed blindness. He's healed the mute, the crippled. He's healed leprosy. It's important to remember the same God that does all these things is the same God of today. It says in Philippians chapter 4, in verse 13, I can do all things through Christ which strengtheneth me. Think about it. All things. If God's in it, we're not limited. All means all. And if God wants you to take on a grizzly bear with a slingshot, He can see you through it. He can make your aim straight, and He can make it hit that bear just right and drop him over dead. You know, about the only way you could actually kill a bear is to hit him right in the head. And they got a hard head. With a slingshot, God knows the exact spot to hit them, to kill them. And He can guide that rock like a heat-seeking missile and punch him right in the exact spot He needs to drop him. He's done prepared that bear to have a soft spot right between his eyes for that rock to hit. And that bear's born with a birth defect, and that little spot was just the weakest. And that rock can hit him right there. Knock him out cold. And then David comes up there and finishes the job. Grabs him by the hair of his chin and just finishes him off. We need the faith of David, the fearlessness of David. So many times in our day, we let fear get the better of us. You know, somebody threatens us or just talks tough, and we back down. Somebody might call us a name. They might poke fun at us. Well, that's what Goliath was doing at David. Am I a dog? You little runt, you gonna come after me? That's basically what he was saying. This little boy's going, y'all, that's the best y'all got? Yeah. That was the best they had. And it was all they needed. Their God. That's what David was depending on. He wouldn't depend. David didn't walk up to him and say, "Yeah, I got my sling here. Watch this." You know, sling is a formidable weapon. But would a man hide behind a shield, 9 foot tall, got armor? He's a man of war. And David's going to hit him in the very exact spot to kill him. No. God was in control of that thing. That's one reason the world wants to hide the history of David. Because they don't want the world to realize, like David said here, everybody's going to know that there is a God in Israel. They don't want the people to know there is a God. They want to hide that fact. The biggest lie of the devil is getting people to believe there is no God. One of his biggest lies. Because if we got no God, then we got nothing to look forward to. If there's no God, there's no help, no hope. It's all lost. It's all on us, and we see we're failing. We see as we get older, our bodies get weaker. We see people with disease dying. Well, if there was a God, why would that happen? Why would this happen? There ain't no God, see? They want to lie to us. But we need to stand up and tell them, there is a God, because this is what He's done for me. And that's what Paul did. He come before the king and, hey, let me tell you a story about my journey on the road to Damascus. You know, we all got a story to tell. David had a story to tell. Let me tell you what my God done when the lion and the bear come along and tried to steal my sheep. Let me tell you what my God did when I went through this, when I went through that. When I had this problem or that problem. That's what we can tell the world. Let me tell you what my God did the night I got saved. We all got something we can tell. And I've heard every one of you talk, so I know you're capable of it. I might talk a little slower than others. But that's because I'm from the South. You know, I was thinking, yeah, Jesus is from the South too. He's going to have the Lord's Supper. So I ought to fit right in with him. But, you know, no matter what we face this coming year, we may be sick. We may be hurting. We may be in a car wreck. The same God that took care of everybody else can take care of us. And people might say, well, what about all them Christians that was fed to the lions, that was burned at the stake, that had their heads chopped off, and this, that, and the other? They went to heaven, so God still took care of them. No matter what happens to us, God's going to take care of us. This life ain't nothing. Think of what we got to look forward to in eternity. Them Christians that was fed to the lions, it only got better for them. Didn't hurt them a bit. Might have killed that body. This life in this body's nothing anyway. Give you a hint, whether it's by age, by disease, by the lions, or whatever, you're going to die. What's important is what's going to be happening after you die. You know, the world needs to know there's something better on the other side. If they would trust in the Lord and get over themselves, they would see that. And they would enjoy life a whole lot better. We just need to trust in Him in everything. Because He cares about everything in our lives. You know, I was reading where somebody asked the old preacher, said, if you lost your pencil, would you pray for it? Pray about it? He said, well, God knows where it's at. Why wouldn't I? You know, just trust in Him. He knows what's best for us. Hey, if He has it for me to die, He's going to take me to heaven. He knows what's best for me. Because He may know if I lived, I'm going to go through something worse next year. He knows what the future is. So He take me on home to get me out of it. How many people has died serving Christ, and because of their death, somebody else got saved? You know, I read where one of the disciples died, and the person that was going to execute him got saved and died with him. They had to get a second stringer up there to do the job because the first stringer got saved and didn't do it. I forget which one it was. But, you know, by our testimony and what we go through, we don't know what kind of effect that's going to have on somebody else's life. You know, I'm a firm believer that when Stephen died and they stoned him to death, and he said, I see the Son standing at the right hand of the Father. Paul was there holding the coats for everybody. And right after that, Paul goes to Damascus and gets saved on the way. And I wonder how much of a testimony Stephen had in preaching that last sermon and telling them, y'all the ones that killed the Savior. And how much of a testimony that had on Paul and how much of an effect it had on him that he got saved right after that. You know, what kind of testimony can we have and what kind of influence can we have if we just take a stand like David did? Then no matter what happens, no matter what the world or the devil throws at us, we can stand tall with our heads held high and say, I'm going to trust in my God because he's well able to take care of me. You know, you sick, you in the hospital, tell the doctors and the nurses, I'm trusting in God, and what kind of testimony that might have on their lives. You know, we've had doctors with Erica that told us that they believed in God, and they believed he can do something. You know, I've had doctors tell me that. When I go through something, and I've had some that'll just grunt and walk away. But you know what? They've heard at least once. They can't say nobody ever told them. We just have testimony and stand before him. No matter what happens, no matter how big the trouble is or the trial or the fell out there on the street, at least he'll hear just once that there is a God in heaven, and I'm trusting in him. Preacher, will you close us in prayer?
Father in heaven, we thank you, Lord, for the blessed privilege it is to be back in the house of our Lord. And God, we thank you for a measure of health and strength, allowing us to be here. And Father, we pray for many that are not able to be here today. I pray that your grace and strength would be with them. And Father, we pray for the furtherance of the service, that you'd be honored and glorified in everything that's said and done. Bless the singing and the preaching of your word. And God, I pray that the Spirit of God would work and move and convict and to draw. God, that you'd help us today, for as we've assembled today. Father, we love you and we look forward to what you do. In Jesus' name we ask and pray. Amen.
God is able to close your mouth. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, every one of the guys go straight to heaven. So, I mean, what did they lost? Yeah. And what gets me is the ones you hear that didn't grow up in church, got saved, never had Christian influence till they got saved, and standing and dying. And you got people in this country that's heard it their whole lives, and they'll still turn and walk away and not. And look at the history. If you don't believe this, we're going to kill you. Ain't that way it's going to be your tribulation? If you don't believe this, we're going to kill you.
Yep. That's exactly right. There's gonna be people that change to convert, but
Yeah. I think that's kind of sad too. You got these Muslims that, I mean, it's taught from time just like we were. 5, 6 years old kids, been taught their whole lives, this is right, this is right, this is right. And then they blow themselves up believing that's right, and when they do, they wake up in hell. Surprise. Yeah.
you don't get voted in New York.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he's an American represent that way.
Yeah.
There's like many more, there's the highest population of Muslims right now in the world, Michigan, like 100.
Yeah.
And seats and stuff like that, and schools and all things that under their control. And then you got cities like U.S. I can't comprehend some people.
Yeah.
But they're both in trouble. Let them try that Madison Dickens seat, man.
Yeah.
Shot.
Yeah.
I appreciate that message. Just
Go mess with some of these Pekingese that tell them they can't eat bacon. They go, you gonna be in trouble.
just tell me I can't go home. But a lot of these, there's key phrases in a lot of these stories. One key phrase in that story is the reason he's going to do this is to show that there's a God in Israel.
Yeah.
When God brought the people out of Israel, he used Pharaoh, and Pharaoh is the type of Antichrist.
Yeah.
See, all this is picturing the Antichrist. And God's raising him up, he's probably raising him not me. Because I'm like you, I think there's a good chance he can come back in our lifetime. If that's so, then the Antichrist, the human, is already been born and being raised up by God. If Satan will raise him, God does. You don't understand that. God's one's ready,
Yeah.
getting ready for this purpose, just like he did Pharaoh. And but two, in Genesis 3:15, God says, I'm gonna let the seed of the woman, which is Jesus, bruise the head of your seed.
Yeah.
And so he's done that throughout history. He ain't done it one time. He's done it. He's
Yeah.
gonna do it one last time. But Pharaoh was a good one. He got crushed. Goliath,
Yeah.
crushed. Sisera, crushed.
Yeah.
All those are types and stories that show the proof there's a God in Israel. Somebody gets it here. Satan got his head bruised at the cross. God didn't kill him then. He's going to kill him
Yeah.
in the future. And this kind of gets smashed. But the Antichrist will get his head crushed, but he still ain't Satan.
No.
He's just dangerous. And but yeah, I mean, it's just like 1,500 years ago.